Hi, my name's Rich, and today we're going to talk about the Genie subclass for the Warlock, coming up in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. If you're already subscribed to the channel, well, thanks for subscribing. But to the new viewers out there, it's free to press the subscribe button and it would help me out a lot. Currently, out of all the people viewing the videos, only 5.9% are subscribed, so I'd love to get that number up. The Warlock class uses their cantrips for their main source of damage, and their spell slots are generally kept for more utility spells, and this is also true for the Genie. Now, let's read the description. You have made a pact with one of the rarest kinds of Genie, a noble Genie. Such entities rule vast fiefs on their elemental planes and have great influence over lesser Genies and elemental creatures. Noble Genies are varied in their motivations, but most are arrogant and wield power that rival that of lesser deities. They delight in turning their tables on mortals, who often bind Genies into servitude, and readily enter into pacts that expand their reach. You choose your patron kind, or determine it randomly, using the Genie kind table. The four main options are a Dao, Genie Earth Elemental, a Genie, Air Elemental, Efreeti, the Fire Elemental, and Macarious, Water Elemental. This subclass focuses on the Genie's vessel. You get it at first level, and it's a spellcasting focus with lots of utility. This subclass focuses on the focus more than most, and it's integral to the character's roleplay opportunities. At level 1, you get the Genie's vessel. Your patron gifts you a magical vessel that grants you a measure of the Genie's power. The vessel is a tiny object, and you can use it as a spellcasting focus for your Warlock spells. You decide what the object is, or you can determine what it is randomly by rolling on the Genie vessel table. On this table you have the options of oil lamp, urn, ring with compartment, stoppered bottle, hollow statue, or ornate lantern. Also at level 1, your Warlock spell list is expanded when you take the Genie subclass. Each of the different Genies have different spells that are exclusive to them, but they also have a pool of common spells that you get regardless of which Genie type you choose. The common pool spells are at first level, Detect Good and Evil, at second level, Phantasmal Force, third level, Create Food and Water, fourth level, Phantasmal Killer, fifth level, Creation, and everyone that takes the Genie subclass gets Wish at 9th level. Between Create Food and Water at 3rd level and the Sanctuary Vessel you get at level 10 of the Genie subclass, I think this subclass is great for navigation, long distance journeys, and it really helps roleplay Journey Through the Desert, for example. The 9th level Wish spell is the cornerstone of this subclass, and when you eventually get the spell, it ties everything together thematically, and it really feels like you've reached the keystone of the class. Now, let's move on to the different elemental exclusive spells. For the Dao, at first level you get Sanctuary, which is always good for making sure you don't take extra damage between rounds. At second level, you get Spike Growth, which is an okay spell at first glance, but when you think about using the Genie subclass, you have access to Eldritch invocations that allow you to move creatures away or towards you. Combine that with Spike Growth, it can lead to massive damage. It's one of the most powerful spells the Dao Genie can pick up. If you put a lot of thought into it, it can be a real min-maxer's dream. At level 3, you get Meld into Stone, and at level 4 you get Stone Shape. These are both helpful for defensive purposes. And at 5th level you get Wall of Stone, which is a powerful spell and is limited only by your imagination. The Genie spells for the Genie Air Elemental, at first level you get Thunder Wave, which is a good area of effect, and it scales up in damage as well, so it's a great addition. Gust of Wind can help move creatures around the battlefield and is good for also silencing some creatures if you're going up against magic casters. Wind Wall is a great utility spell at level 3, and at 4th level you get greater invisibility, which can definitely help you in a more stealthy situation. And finally, at level 5 you get Seeming, which is an underutilized spell, but it has its place. If you manage to find some good uses for Seeming, leave a comment down below, I'd love to hear about it. The Fire Elemental, Efreeti, at 1st level gets Burning Hands, and just like Thunderwave, this does scale up with damage as the levels go up, so it's on brand with the Genie as well. A lot of the Efreeti is focused on fire damage, so you'll be rolling a lot of dice and dealing a lot of damage with this option. At level 2 they get Scorching Ray, which is great for splitting up between smaller enemies, and at level 3 they get Fireball, which is an iconic and some say overpowered 3rd level spell. At level 4 you get Fire Shield, which is more flexible than you first think because you can use it to defend against fire damage and cold damage. And then at 5th level you get Flame Strike, summoning a pillar of flame and raining down on your enemies. The Fire Elemental is very chaotic and energetic. If you're going for the chaotic neutral option, then Efreeti is a great choice for you. And finally, we have the Marid, the Water Elemental. At 1st level you get Fog Cloud, which is a good utility spell to get in and out of bad situations, and I'm sure your rogue will love you if you manage to combine it with them so they can get their sneak attack off. At 2nd level you get Blur, which is a consistently good defensive spell to take. At level 3 you get Sleet Storm, which has good area of effect, and at level 4 you get Control Weather. There is a misprint in the Tasha's Warlock preview. It says Control Warmer, but I'm sure they mean Control Weather. At level 5 you get Cone of Cold, which is great if you can get a good angle. It can hit a lot of enemies at the same time and it really racks up the damage. At level 1 you get the ability Bottled Respite. As an action, you can magically vanish and enter your vessel, which remains in the space you left. The interior of the vessel is an extra-dimensional space in the shape of a 20-foot radius cylinder, 20 foot high, and resembles your vessel. The interior is comfortably appointed with cushions and low tables and a comfortable temperature. While inside, you can hear the area around your vessel as if you were in the space. You can remain inside the vessel for up to a number of hours equal to twice your proficiency bonus. You can exit the vessel early if you use a bonus action to leave, if you die, or if the vessel is destroyed. When you exit the vessel, you appear in the unoccupied space closest to it. Any objects left in the vessel remain there until carried out, and if the vessel is destroyed, every object stored there harmlessly appears in an unoccupied space closest to the vessel's former space. Once you enter the vessel, you can't enter again until you finish a long rest. Now, the two main features I can see about this is being able to get through small narrow spaces using the vessel. If you all jump into the vessel and get an NPC to throw you over a fence, for example. And the second thing is remaining inside for a number of hours equal to twice your proficiency bonus. Now, if you're using an elf that has the trance ability, you can take a long rest in a 4-hour period, so that can be a very interesting interaction. Also at level 1, you get Genie's Wrath. Once during each of your turns, when you hit with an attack roll, you can deal extra damage to the target equal to your proficiency bonus. The type of this damage is determined by your patron: bludgeoning for the Dao, thunder for the Genie, fire for the Efreeti, or cold for the Marid. The vessel's AC equals your spell save DC, its hit points equal your Warlock level plus your proficiency bonus, and it's immune to poison and psychic damage. If the vessel is destroyed or you lose it, you can perform a 1-hour ceremony to receive a replacement. This ceremony can be performed during a short or long rest, and the previous vessel is destroyed if it still exists. The vessel vanishes in a flare of elemental power when you die. Now, dealing extra damage when you hit combines perfectly with the Eldritch Blast cantrip. This really pushes the Genie's main focus of using Eldritch Blast cantrips or other damaging cantrips and racking up the damage as quickly as possible. As soon as you hit level 5 and you can start hitting twice with Eldritch Blast, the power grows exponentially. At level 6 you get Elemental Gift. You now have resistance to the damage type determined by your patron's kind. Bludgeoning for the Dao, Thunder for the Genie, Fire for the Efreeti, or Cold for the Marid. Again, I think the Dao wins out on this. They have a superior spell list, and they have resistance to bludgeoning damage, which would still be a very common damage type even at 6th level. In addition, as a bonus action, you can give yourself a flying speed of up to 30 feet that lasts for 10 minutes, during which you can hover. You can use this bonus action a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all the expended uses when you finish a long rest. Now, this is quite handy for navigating through pitfall traps and making sure that you're quiet when you're trying to stay stealthy in a mission. At level 10, you gain Sanctuary Vessel. When you enter the Genie's vessel via the Bottled Respite feature, you can now choose up to 5 willing creatures that you can see within 30 feet of you, and the chosen creatures are drawn into the vessel with you. As a bonus action, you can eject any number of creatures from the vessel, and everyone is ejected if you leave or if the vessel is destroyed. In addition, anyone, including you, who remains within the vessel for at least 10 minutes gains the benefit of finishing a short rest, and anyone can add your proficiency bonus to the number of hit points they regain if they spend any hit dice as part of the short rest there. This is a good substitute for the Tiny Hut spell, but at level 10 I'm sure one of the other players in your group has already taken advantage of that spell. It's still a handy feature to have, and I'm sure with a little bit of imagination you can really figure out some interesting combinations and ways to abuse this, ways to use this in the game. And finally, at level 14, you get Limited Wish. You entreat your patron to grant you a small wish. As an action, you can speak your desire to your Genie's vessel, requesting the effect of one spell that is 6th level or lower and has a casting time of 1 action. The spell can be from any spell's class list, and you don't need to meet the requirements in the spell, including costly components. The spell simply takes effect as part of this action. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish 1d4 long rests. This is a very handy thing to have in your back pocket. If one of your teammates manages to fall and you can cast Revivify, it can be a lifesaver. I like that they've restricted it to only using it every 1d4 long rests. It limits it out, it rations it out, and it stops people from abusing the Limited Wish ability. It's worth noting some powerful level 6 spells include Contingency, Globe of Invulnerability, and Tensor's Transformation if you want to get in melee range and really deal some damage. With regards to selecting which type of Genie to pick, I would go with the Dao. It seems like the most powerful in my opinion, with the stone wall and the ability to drag people across some spiked earth as well. The Efreeti is good for dealing lots of fire damage, but it focuses a lot on attack spells and doesn't have as much versatility. It's also worth noting that the Air and Earth Gensai get 2nd level spells, and Water and Fire Gensai get 1 cantrip and a 1st level spell at 3rd level. The Dao is getting more favourable treatment. Assuming that you use Spike Growth and the enemy is in the middle, you could use Repelling Blast and Grasp of Hadar, moving the creature 10 foot forward, dealing 2d4 damage, and then 10 feet back again, dealing an extra 5 damage. Combine that with slippery or difficult terrain, and it's really a struggle for the enemy to move out of it if they can't fly or hover. With regards to hiding in the vessel, the elf spellcasters can delay their long rest by 4 hours using the trance feature, and they can cast longer duration spells like Mage Armor, so they can recharge their short rest spell slots and still have the effect of Mage Armor persisting. For multi-classing, other classes that use short rest to gain their features back, such as Fighter or Monk, are a great multi-class example. Examples of other abilities that recharge on a short rest are Bardic Inspiration once you hit level 5, Ancestral Barbarian can use their level 10 feature, Consult the Spirits, to gather information and then short rest to recharge. Clerics can use their Channel Divinity after trancing, and then recharge it with a short rest. This is particularly powerful with the Forged Domain Cleric as well. Warlocks with the Cloak of Flies invocation can use it and then short rest to recharge it while it still maintains the effects, much similar to Mage Armor. Alchemist Artificers can use the ability to produce more potions and make extra experimental elixirs. And also, anything that grants temporary hit points and recharges on a short rest can be useful, such as the Battlemaster's Rally Maneuver, the Glamour Bard's Mantle of Inspiration, and the Shepherd Druid's Spare Spirit. It's worth noting that the temporary hit points disappear at the end of a long rest, so you can't give it to party members mid-rest and expect them to have the HP for the entire day. If you want to discuss this further, then leave a comment and I'm sure to reply. You can always join the Discord as well, and if I've made any glaring mistakes with the rules, then don't be afraid to point them out in the comments, okay? Out of all the patrons, I would rank this one fairly high. It doesn't beat the Hexblade, but I think it gets ahead of the Great Old One and the Fiend. It's not as good as the Archfey or Celestial. The Celestial is perfect for mixing it up and making sure your Warlock can heal. I would go so far as to give this an A rank. It's not quite in the S-class tier like Hexblade, but it's nearly there. It's a strong A. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll speak to you later. Have a nice day. Goodbye.